Hi everyone. Today let us learn something about research ethics. Our unit 1 is the introduction to research ethics. Here we will look into a few details such as the concept of research ethics, history and evolution of research ethics, objectives of research ethics, principles of research ethics, and ethics with respect to science and research. And in this first video, we will discuss the first three topics: concept, history and evolution, and the main objectives of research ethics. What do you mean by ethics? Ethics is also called moral philosophy. It is a discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad and morally right and wrong. Most people learn ethical norms at home, at school, in temple, in church, or in other social settings. Although most people acquire their sense of right and wrong during childhood, moral development occurs throughout life and human beings pass through different stages of growth as they mature. Ethical norms are so everywhere that one might be tempted to regard them as common sense. On the other hand, if morality were nothing more than common sense, then why are there so many ethical disputes and issues in our society? One reasonable explanation of these disagreements is that all people recognize some common ethical norms, but different individuals interpret, apply, and balance these norms in different ways in light of their own values and life experiences. Now, let us move on to our topic: research ethics. Research ethics are moral principles that guide researchers to conduct and report research without deception or intention to harm the participants of the study or members of the society as a whole, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Practicing ethical guidelines while conducting and reporting research is essential to establish the validity of your research. You must follow the ethical guidelines issued by regulatory committees so that you can be sure that your research is authentic, error-free, you gain credibility and support from public, your article is plagiarism-free, and research ethics fill in a sense of responsibility among researchers. What is the concept behind research ethics? Fraser and Doden has given the definition as the field of ethics, also called moral philosophy, involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. In India, only a few years back, the question of ethics in education research has been taken seriously. But in other countries, even from 1979, we may find various prominent bodies with well structured and designed ethical guidelines like American Education Research Association in 1992, British Education Research Association in 1993, Scottish Educational Research Association in 2000. Now, what is the need for ethics in educational research? The need to publish and conduct research is increasing a lot. The primary need is to benefit mankind and society rather than individual gain. But with time, this primary need has transformed to secondary or tertiary need. It needs to be understood that any unethical practices in research may significantly harm the individual and the society. Ethical norms guide the researcher to account for their responsibility towards participants, users, area, and research community. The research is built on a foundation of trust. Scientists trust that the results reported by others are valid. Society trusts that the results of research is honest. But this trust sustained or can be maintained only if the scientific community devotes themselves to the values associated with ethical scientific conduct. There are many ethical issues to be taken into serious consideration for research. You have the responsibility to secure the actual permission and interest of all those involved in the study. Should not misuse any information discovered, and there should be a certain moral responsibility maintained towards the participants. There is a duty to protect the rights of the people in the study, their privacy and sensitivity. The confidentiality of those involved in the observation must be carried out, keeping their anonymity and privacy secure. Now let us have a look into the history and evolution of ethics in research. After the scientific revolution in 17th century, the behavior of researchers has been subject to some regulations. The researchers had to show respect for general ethical rules and social norms. Let us look into the history of research which helped to evolve the ethics. Here are a few important events which led the way for a set of guidelines to be followed by a researcher are Nuremberg Code, Thalidomide, Tuskegee Syphilis Study, Declaration of Helsinki, National Research Act 1974 and the Bellman Report. Let us see one by one. The first one is the Nuremberg Code, and Nuremberg is the second largest city of German state in Bavaria. Earlier, some German physicians conducted medical experiments on thousands of concentration camp prisoners without their consent. Now, what is this concentration camp? It is a center for political prisoners and it is also called as death camps. Most of the subjects of these experiments died or were permanently crippled as a result. An American military tribunal opened criminal proceedings against 23 leading German physicians in war crimes and crimes against humanity on December 9, 1946. As a result, the Nuremberg Code was established in 1948, stating that the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. Although it did not carry the force of law, the Nuremberg Code was the first international document which advocated voluntary participation and informed consent. The next one is thalidomide. In the late 1950s, thalidomide was approved as a sedative in Europe, but it was not approved in the United States by the Food and Drug Administration. The drug was prescribed to control sleep and nausea throughout pregnancy, but it was soon found that this caused severe deformities in the fetus. Many patients did not know they were taking a drug that was not approved for use by the FDA, nor did they give informed consent. Some 12,000 babies were born with severe deformities due to thalidomide. US Senate hearings followed, and in 1962, the so-called Coffer Amendments to the Food and Drug Cosmetic Act were passed into law to ensure drug efficacy and greater drug safety. Coffer is the name of an American politician from Tennessee of Democratic Party. For the first time, drug manufacturers were required to prove to the FDA the effectiveness of their products before marketing them. And the third one is Tuskegee Syphilis Study. This study was happened in from 1932 to 1972, and the research took place in Tuskegee Institute at Macon County in Alabama. An equally well-known chapter in history occurred during a research project conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service. 600 low-income African American males, 400 of whom were infected with syphilis, were monitored for 40 years. Free medical examinations were given, however, subjects were not told about their disease. Even though penicillin, a proven cure, became available in the 1950s, the study continued until 1972 with participants being denied treatment. In some cases, when subjects were diagnosed as having syphilis by other physicians, researchers intervened to prevent treatment. Many subjects died of syphilis during the study. The study was stopped in 1973 by the US Department of Health, Education and Welfare only after its existence was publicized and it became a political embarrassment. In 1997, under mounting pressure, President Clinton apologized to the study subjects and their families. And the fourth one is Declaration of Helsinki. Helsinki is the capital city of Finland. In 1964, the World Medical Association established the Declaration of Helsinki, which provides recommendations guiding medical doctors in biomedical research involving human research. The declaration governs international research ethics and defines rules for research combined with clinical care and non-therapeutic research. The Declaration of Helsinki was revised in 1975 1983, 1989 and 1996 and is the basis for effective clinical practices used today. Research with humans should be based on the results from laboratory and animal experimentation. Research protocols should be reviewed by an independent committee prior to initiation. Informed consent from research participant is necessary. Research should be conducted by medically or scientifically qualified individuals and risk should not exceed benefits. And the fifth one is National Research Act 1974. Because of the publicity from the Tuskegee syphilis study, the National Research Act of 1974 was passed. The National Research Act created the National Commissions for the Protection of Human Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research. This commission was tasked with identifying the basic ethical principles that should underlie the conduct of biomedical and behavioral research involving human subjects. It was also tasked with developing guidelines that should be followed to assure that such research is conducted in accordance with these ethical principles. The Commission drafted the Bellman Report, a foundation document in for the ethics of human subjects research in the United States. Now, the sixth one is the Bellman Report. Bellman University is a private Christian university in Nashville, in Tennessee. This is the consolidated version of the report. According to this report, the principles to be followed by the researcher and how to apply these principles with their subject is tabulated here. The tabulation gives a principle and application, and based on the principle and with respect for persons, individuals should be treated as autonomous agents. Persons with diminished autonomy are entitled to protection. And when it comes to application, it is based on informed consent, such as subjects to the degree that they are capable must be given the opportunity to choose what shall or shall not happen to them. The consent process must include three elements: information, comprehension and voluntariness. And according to the principle of beneficence, human subjects should not be harmed. Research should maximize possible benefits and minimize possible harms. And when it is applied in the case of assessment of risk and benefits, the nature and scope of risk and benefits must be assessed in a systematic manner. And based on the principle of justice, the benefits and risks of research must be distributed fairly. And when it is applied on selection of subjects, there must be fair procedures and outcomes in the selection of research subjects. And now the current regulations followed are given here. The main elements of the common rule include the following: requirements for assuring compliance by research institutions, requirements for researchers obtaining and documenting informed consent, requirements for institutional review board IRB membership, function, operations, review of research and record keeping, and additional protections for certain vulnerable research subjects like pregnant women, prisoners and children. And finally, the objectives of research ethics are: the first and broadest objective is none other than to protect human participants. The second objective is to ensure that research is conducted in a way that serves interests of individuals, groups, and or society as a whole. Finally, the third objective is to examine specific research activities and projects for their ethical soundness, looking at issues such as management of risk, protection of confidentiality, and the process of informed consent. And let us continue our next portion in our next video. Thank you.